Hey guys, welcome to 28mm RPG Clickbait Edition. Now seriously, hopefully this gets a few views because it's something that needs to be talked about role-playing games. How they are therapy, are they therapy, and how far do you push that therapy? Does it become sexual therapy? So we have an article here from Very Well Mind. I have the link in the description down below. And it is written by Lisa Fritzscher back in November 21st, 2020. Therapeutic role-playing has proved to be an effective treatment for phobia sufferers who often believe that a feared situation is inherently dangerous. This type of therapy allows a therapist and patient to act out scenarios that are difficult for the phobia sufferer. Through role-playing, the patient learns new behaviors to help overcome their particular phobia. Many professionals believe that most important causes of phobias are the environmental triggers and the learned behaviors. They argue that a phobia is ultimately a learned response or stimulus. By unlearning the response and substituting rational reactions, the phobia can be cured. This model favors therapy as the preferred treatment. Many phobia sufferers are best treated with a combination of medication and therapy. Psychiatrists and therapists often form referral networks to help clients meet both needs. Mental health centers often have a range of mental health specialists on staff offering their clients a one-stop solution. There's individual therapy, which can include therapeutic role-playing, allows the therapist and client to focus on each other, building a rapport of working together to solve the client's issues. Brief therapies such as cognitive behavior therapy can produce results in just a few sessions. So how does role-playing therapy work? Therapeutic role-playing is a technique that allows a person with a phobia to practice new behaviors. In a role-playing session, the therapist takes the identity of someone that the person is afraid to confront, such as a parent or an employer. The person then interacts with the therapist utilizing behaviors that he has learned during or she has learned during the therapy. After the role-playing session is complete, a debriefing takes place in which the client and therapist discuss what happened and ways to improve the interaction. The technique can be particularly helpful in those dealing with social phobia, germ phobia, or other interpersonal phobias. Is a role-playing game therapy? And what kind of therapy? Sex in role-playing games is a topic. It is a thing. It will happen. As far as mainstream Dungeons and Dragons, I'm certain many of us have played the games and encountered some sort of sexual innuendo. And of course, like I said, many therapists use role-playing as a tool to understand, stuff like couples issues or, with employers and that sort of stuff. It's a lot of what if, and it's not necessarily realistic, because if you were to understand what the person in question was facing in real life in order to overcome that issue, you would have to understand what the responses of the obstacle person that they are reckoning with. You would have to fully understand how they would respond. And what would happen usually is you have the person approach it as if they had gone through their therapy and talk to that person as if they had talked in that therapy, and they would probably lock up because a lot of this assumption in what is going to be the response may or may not happen. So it could be an entirely different outcome, and therefore the person that had gone into therapy realizes, oh, well, what my therapist assumed this person was going to respond as is nothing like what I had encountered. But there again, sometimes maybe it does happen exactly the way the therapist says. This is the thing about role-playing games in general, is you don't know what is going to happen. When you encounter NPCs, the game master has their own idea and vision of what the NPC is going to respond like. There's something that each of us should ask ourselves when approaching the game. When you play chess, are you acting out in sexual innuendo? When you play Uno, Munchkin, Battletech, Monopoly? But the thing is, and this is including all RPGs, D&D and all that are purely first and foremost games. Games, not sexual therapy. They are a form of therapy, as I recall being in my younger years, starting, at basically 13 when I started getting into role-playing games. We had basically no understanding of the opposite sex. We had no idea how they would normally react to a relationship situation. All that stuff was basically garnered from watching movies and TV shows and that sort of thing. So you would get your cues from that. And truly, it is unrealistic. And, being a young nerdy type with young nerdy types, they had no idea what they were talking about. So, and some later on in the years got into that really weird fetish kind of thing. So as we see here with some cartoonists here showing some of the weird things that they've encountered. I have not encountered something this weird myself, but some of the things have been kind of out there. I mean, it's cool if you're into that. More power to you. There are game masters that will cater to this sort of thing. And me, no, I'm not into that. I'd rather perform a great story for the players of interactivity, where the players basically drive the story to the directions that they wish to proceed in. However, not knowing how the outcome is going to come about. I love putting in twists. I love listening to the players' feedback and getting cues and then developing ideas upon their ideas as well. A lot of my stuff is never set in stone, and I kind of run my game piece by piece, developing as the players develop as well as characters. I think what Wizards of the Coast is doing today is a big mistake, and they are basically trying to push their game as sexual therapy, and it should be more of a toolkit than a push towards, ideologies involving any kind of sexual therapy. So it's something that we have to think about as a group of players and dungeon masters or game masters of how far this goes as far as therapy. As I see it, role-playing is a form of therapy in order to understand ideas and concepts that you would normally not encounter because it's a fantasy game. But at the same time, we do base ourselves in the root of reality in a lot of it. So, I mean, it does have its merit in a sense of opening up a person from being an introvert into being more extrovert in situations. So, helping as coping with other people in real life. And the positive reinforcement of the game master to encourage the introvert player to become more talkative is great. It does help. But the thing is, how far does that therapy go? You are not there to become a sexual therapist, so unless that's the way that you've geared your game to be a sexual therapist. So there are game masters out there that will do this, of course, but pay heed, a lot of game masters will not go into that territory, nor care to want to even tread in that territory as a player. And they just approach the game as being that, a game. It's a session of having fun with your friends, accomplishing a fantasy world task, which hopefully it's an endeavor of achieving a successful result where everybody can talk about the story afterwards and enjoy it for what it is. And yeah, if you rescue the princess at the end, well, so be it, that's cool. Or prince, if it goes that way as well. Please feel free to comment down below on your thoughts and feelings on this. And give me a like if you want, or subscribe. Talk to you guys later.